This video is going to be a deck showcase. Specifically, I'm going to be showing off a deck that I was very successful with in the alpha portion of this game. Not much has changed with it since the game has moved to open beta, and again, I was very successful with this, so I think that this is a great deck to climb the ladder with. I think it's a pretty safe deck to craft if you want to be successful, and because you're kind of going with this core Valkyrie tribal deck in the blue. If you don't like this blue-yellow version, there are other versions that you can play. As you can see here, I have a purple version that I'm going to highlight in a future video, but I think this one is the best, so I'm starting with this one. We're going to jump in, take a look at the deck list. I'm going to explain all of the inclusions, or at least kind of highlight the cards, and then we're going to also play one game on the ranked ladder so I can show you the deck in action. So right now, starting with the deck list, Journey of Souls is the path. This is because this is a very minion heavy deck and this gives us some staying power. Infuse is the power because it helps us with getting extra damage in, but also value trades. And don't worry, there's going to be a copy of this deck list in the video description. You can go ahead and copy it from the video description, import it if you want to play this list. If you don't know how to do that, I've got another video on my channel that'll show you how to do that. But for the deck itself, 4 Freki Scout, it's a quality 1-drop. Swift is very relevant, but also it's a Valkyrie, and that's important. Demolition Speedway. This is as a pair. You don't really want to have too many of them in your hand, but finding one for that little bit of reach and then also the overrun, it's very relevant, so it's a quality card to include. 4 Thanes. This is a lot about smoothing out your curve and just getting a 2-3 for 2. But you run Thane in the blue-yellow version specifically because it's great with Bulwark, and I'll talk about that when we get to the end. Bulwark's the reason you run blue-yellow in my mind. Ice Spike, quality removal that's versatile, has piercing so it gets through the armor, but the fact that it stuns a minion if it doesn't kill it means that even against larger threats it can help you win races. Think Shackle if you're coming from the Elder Scrolls Legends. Valkyrie Tough. 3-3 for 2 is a good stat line, and it's a Valkyrie, so it's a bonus. Brainstorm is just card draw, and sometimes you need that in an aggressive / like mid-rangey deck list. Freki Sidecar. I only run this as a 1-of. I think that it's best used as a finisher because you're typically playing this and another Valkyrie or another minion from hand and then using them to get that last bit of burst to finish somebody off. Playing this on curve doesn't feel great, and you don't really want multiple stuck in your hand, so even in Valkyrie decks I've cut it down to 1. Road Queen, we have a lot of Valkyrie minions. This is a Valkyrie tribal deck, it's kind of the point, so of course naturally you're going to run a pair of Road Queens. It's just a great card. 3-4 for 3 is a good stat line, and buffing everything else, well, maybe not everything, but a lot of your other minions is good. Stormdottir's Chosen. This is a 3-3 for 3, but because you run so many Valkyries, it very often does get bigger, and the overrun is very relevant, so I'm a big fan of this. Mourningwives is fantastic. Not only is it a Valkyrie, but it's a big body that gets bigger when your opponent cannot deal with it. Full complement of thunderclaps because you want to clear out the opposing minions. This can get rid of blockers, or it can help you kind of come back if you start slow. 3 Valkyrie Enforcers. I wouldn't mind 4, but it's a bit overkill. I think 3 is correct because you only want to be stuck playing like 1 or 2 a game, but it is a Valkyrie. The tempo play is great. The fact that its bounce is very relevant because that means it gets a round ward. It also means that it can still get rid of immortal threats potentially, so quality card. Valkyrie Enforcer is one of my favorites. Magnus Thorsson is here because he's just great all-purpose. It's like a third thunderclap on a body. And Ingrid. Ingrid is not really a finisher per se, but certainly against slower decks can give you that kind of like burst of resources you need to finish them off. The 5-5 with Alpha Strike is a fantastic stat line, and getting back 2 or 3 cards when you play her for more gas is usually a plus. Now we're down to the yellow cards, and there's not that many. This is a bit of a splash. 1 Orbital Jamming Satellite because the reusable suppress that this provides is just invaluable. This is one of the more annoying cards to play against in the game. So if you're running yellow and you can include it. It's usually an auto include. 2 poxbringers. This is basically just removal, but with the rush, sometimes that 1 point of damage for reach can matter, but for the most part, this is just removal. And then 4 copies of Bulwark. This is the reason you play Valks with yellow, because this card is amazing. +0, +2, and armor means you make a minion very resilient. You're likely winning a value trade, and you draw a card. So a card like this, for example, when you play it on Thane, as long as Thane is attacking and killing the target, Thane's just never going to die at that point. So it's just a really good tool. I love Bulwark. It's one of my favorite cards. This is why I think that the blue-yellow version of Valkyries is just the best. I really believe in Bulwark that much. It's really strong. So, as I said, I do also play some other versions of Valks. I'm going to do a video on the purple version that I play, but I really do think this is the best list. And now that I've went through it, we're going to go play one game on the ladder so I can show you the deck in action as well. Jumping into a game here on the ladder with our Valkyrie deck, and this is rather unfortunate actually, because you traditionally want to have a freki scout to start. We don't have one, so we're just going to burn a card and pass the turn. So a little bit unfortunate, but we have a lot of very valuable 2-drops. And it looks like we might be up against a mono red. Once you see that burned card, you can safely expect it to be mono red, specifically the Iron Belly Wyvern. And it's not mono red. Alright, so it's going to be like a red purple. We force a 2-for-1 out of him, so that's nice. And we'll actually just go ahead and get rid of another thane so that we can set up.
Let's do this. All right ahead.
Multiple creatures in this regard as well. Though we would like to play this, at some point you always have to burn at least 1 yellow card, so this is likely going to be what goes next. That's why we're saving the brainstorm. We knew we were going to have to refill our hand relatively soon. Interesting. I think in this case we're just going to bounce it. We could swift over and attack, but with us not knowing if it's the 3-2 or the 2-3, we'll just play it safe.
Hit the road.
We'll just play it safe, because that might have been bait, right? If it was the 3-2, you'd think they'd want it to be in a position where they could swift over and then attack this without retaliatory. By putting it here, they're hoping that I swift over and attack, but if it's the 2-3, then I potentially don't kill it. We could have also just used infuse, but taking the tempo play, I think, makes more sense, right? We just want more bodies on the board. We have the health lead, and you want to try to snowball, so. And now they take the ignition. Magnus here is a great pickup, so we will certainly take advantage of that. We're going to go ahead, burn this, and Magnus is going to come down next to this, because if it doesn't kill it, we'll find out now if it was the 3-2 or the 2-3. It was the 2-3, as expected, but now they need some sort of extra trick to get through our 4-4 bodies. So this was a beautiful top deck. And having Brainstorm in our back pocket for the following turn if we don't have something good to play is even better. Misfortune, okay. This is a great play by our opponent. They get to clear the Magnus, they get the Misfortune back, and they're going to get to clear something. So bravo to our opponent. I think here we're just going to go ahead and take the Brainstorm first and see what we come up with. This can come down here to try to block this. Get this damage in, and I think we will also burn this to develop the scout. And we want it here, I think.
All right ahead.
Just insurance. Our deck technically tops out at 7, so burning there is not the end of the world. You could also argue that maybe you stick with it, maybe you stay, but... Alright, so they're going to do this and likely burn a red card to then be able to hit this with the ignition. It allows the shinobi to get through and clean up our 2-1 again. They're going to get a lot of value out of this misfortune. It's just the nature of that particular card. We're going to go ahead and push as much damage as we can. And then go ahead and put this here. Now this will just simply trade with the Prodigy, so they will still get an activation with this, but at least it trades with the Prodigy. It will also mean that we're going to be triggering our Journey of Souls, which, you know, again, just one more freki, but not half bad. They go with the Misfortune because, again, it just cleans up so well with the Shinobi. And they're gonna push here. We're gonna get the damage and then move that over as a blocker. They are at 5, I'm pretty sure. So this is gonna be 3 and this is 2 because of the tribal bonus that this represents lethal. So we will take the trade. Play the freki. And the sidecar, and we also still have infuse here as well, but that's going to be exact lethal, and that's exactly why I view this as a finisher. Great game, great showcase of how to you know, use your cards, position, fight for the board, do the best you can. We tried to slow down the ninja as best we could, but the ninjas are strong. They're not to be, you know, trifled with, so you gotta have a game plan. Anyway, hopefully this deck you know, appeals to you. Hopefully this video helps you. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and I hope that you will stick around and watch future videos.